Now we'll hear from a family member, Beverly Miller.
Hi. First, I want to thank everyone at Turning Point for doing this. I was asked to speak here today because my son, Nick Mattingly, died on April 21st, 2014 from an overdose of drugs and alcohol. Susie suggested the focus for speaking tonight be about how we as a community could respond better to avoid the losses like Nick and also support those who remain behind after a loss. The scope of these losses in our culture overwhelms me, and I do not know for sure what should happen to make it all stop. But I do know something we as individuals and as a community should not do. There should never be shame and blame laid on top of the anguish that all those suffering with addiction and those of us whose people have died from it are already experiencing. I know there are people in our culture who do not know, understand, or care that addiction is an illness. Our children, or spouses, or friends, or relatives are not bad people. They were taken by the illness. I am not ashamed to talk about how Nick died. I love my son. He had a heart full of love for others and the earth. In my humble opinion, we are living in a culture that glorifies cruelty, selective ignorance, greed, prejudice, and judgment of others. A culture that chooses money, power, having the best and biggest of everything, being the best, getting to the top before anyone else. This is a deathly competition in which disillusionment, despair, addiction, and self-destruction of all kinds will all too often win. I hope we as a culture can come to recognize what is truly valuable and good in life. I can only speak as an individual to what it is that might help support those of us left in the wake of the loss. What are the things that have helped me survive the worst loss I could ever have imagined? I have to get outside, away from the chaos of humanity. I have to be inside nature. It's one of the places I feel most connected to Nick. I watch our puppy Lola, so full of life, on our sunrise walks in the woods and fields. And a part of me believes that there is something of Nick in her. Another thing critical to my survival has been to find those places where I can talk about Nick with others who are trying to survive the same kind of loss. There is a terrible comfort that comes with all of us telling our stories so that we know we are not alone. I'm a member of a bereaved parents group. I facilitate the Compassionate Friends of Brattleboro gatherings. I find total understanding and solace with a therapist whose daughter died. I stay connected to close friends whose children have also died. And of course, I have a daughter who deserves to have her mother here, loving her and protecting her as best as I can. I also create rituals and celebrations that remember and celebrate Nick. I have to. That is all I have left of him. If we do these things and we try to pay attention to what is truly valuable in our lives and try not to cause any more suffering anywhere for anyone. That may be all we can do to stop this tide of loss. If we go out there and speak openly, as we are tonight, about our people who have died, we may actually help someone else who is living in fear about losing someone they love to the illness. Conquer that fear, shun the judgment, and talk. Ask questions, open your hearts, and listen carefully to each other. These things are simple, but without them, I'm not sure I would still be here talking with you tonight. I'd like to end with these words by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. The reality is that you will grieve forever. You will not get over the loss of a loved one. You will learn to live with it. You will heal and rebuild yourself around the loss you have suffered. You will be whole again, but you will never be the same. Nor should you be the same. Nor would you want to.